all the talk about white people killing black people all over the world. And so I wanted to set the record straight on some things. If you really do a study of history, white people have not done any of those things. You see, everyone wants to say that white people, especially when you look at the treatment of so-called black people in the world, everyone wants to say, well, the white man has gone all over the planet raping black women. They want to talk about how white women were partners in crime pretty much with white men in the things that they have done to people all over the planet. When you think about all of the heinous things that have been attributed to white people, just kind of make you say, well, wow, these white people are really something, huh? Because this is what we hear on a daily basis. We're hearing white people did this, white people did that. Now, some of the things that I've heard that white people have done in the world have been killing babies, throwing slave babies to alligators. People say that white men have raped the slaves, raped their little girls. I mean, very young little girls raped by white men. And if the slave father of that child were to say anything, he would kill him. If the slave mother were to say anything, the white man would kill her just for trying to defend their own children. And some of the other things I've heard, I would hear that if a black male slave or so-called black male slave got out of hand, so-called black male, that they would cut his testicles off and do all kinds of things just for speaking back or defending himself against any white oppressor or white abuser, right? What else have so-called white people been blamed for? Now, a lot of people like to say that the so-called white man has gone to areas like Africa. The continent of Africa was divided up among white people, right? And that they've taken all of the resources. While taking the resources, they were killing the indigenous people of the areas, of the lands, of the countries, and the continent. They were saying that white men would just totally disregard any type of human life and just literally blow children away. White people never did any of that, you see? I mean, I'm just thinking, as I go from area to area, continent to continent, I'm trying to pinpoint all of the things that so-called white people have been blamed for, things that they never did, right? Australia. They blame white people for subjugating the Aboriginal people there. They were said to have put babies down in the sand, bury them in the sand with only their heads sticking up out of the sand. And it has been said that white men would come and literally kick that baby's head off of his shoulders. That much force was put behind the kick that the baby's head would be separated from his body, you see. They've said that white people would kill black people, cut their heads off, and have them hanging on the edge of a stick, you see. So when you look at all these things that people have said white people have done, you would say to yourself, wow, that these are some evil people, right? But white people never did any of that. You have been misinformed. White people never did any of that. Okay? What else can we think of that people...
Or you always go back to that little bullshit excuse that y'all always use, they enslaved us, which if I can get paid for every time I heard that, then, I'd be rich by now. That's some shit that happened hundreds of years ago. Yes, it was fucked up. It was fucked up. But that is not going on right now. Ain't none of us on the shit right now. None of us being forced to do anything that we do not want to do. So how is it? It's their fault. So are you saying it's their fault that a lot of us are lazy? Amazing. Are you saying it's their fault that a lot of us got fucked up credit? Amazing. Are you saying it's their fault that none of us can get our own housing because our credit fucked up, which falls in the same place, a loan, a car? So is it their fault? Amazing. Is it their fault that we go out and rob our own kind? And not only rob our own kind, but we kill our own kind. Is it their fault? Amazing.
I think it seems so much, Boosie, it's like we hate each other almost as a people, man. It's almost like when I see another brother, we're so distrustful of each other, man.
Right.
Why is that, man?
I just feel like African American is the worst race in the world because, first of all, we kill each other. You know, people always talk about this racist stuff, but the white man ain't waiting in your bushes with a chopper.
Nah.
The white man ain't trying to take your rims off your car.
No, he's not.
The white man ain't doing all this wrong. We doing this to each other. So how can we say F the white man? He ain't doing nothing but when you get in trouble doing his job. Guilty. He ain't doing nothing wrong.
A whole bunch of loot. You can overcome that. You don't believe me? And I'm going to give you 2 examples. O.J. Simpson showed us that no longer was it a time where we were living in a time where a Negro could kill a white person and basically walk away with it. He did. What made that possible? Loot. Loot made that possible, except OJ let it go to his head and would not stop with the stupidity. He would not quit while he was ahead, and now he's in prison. So that ought to show you that you can overcome the system based on class. And how do people do that? When they have
are not
loot.
nearly as tolerant and accepting as whites are as a whole, and we don't need data on African countries to know this. We can use data on African Americans to give us at least an idea. In 1990, Congress passed the Hate Crime Statistics Act, which required the Attorney General to collect data about crimes which manifest evidence of prejudice based on race, religion, sexual orientation, or ethnicity. Ever since that act, the FBI and criminal justice departments have had reliable records on the number of hate crimes committed in America and who the offenders are. In 2013, whites made up 54% of offenders of hate crimes, despite being 64% of the U.S. population. That means whites disproportionately do not commit hate crimes on average. Blacks, on the other hand, made up 24.3% of all hate crime offenders, despite being 12% of the U.S. population. That means blacks, on average, disproportionately commit hate crimes. Think about it. We're told by the liberal media and academia that whites are racist. Only whites can commit hate crimes. But when you step back and look at the data, it's clear that only one group of people have a tendency to commit hate crimes. Only one group of people are disproportionately, factually more racist and bigoted in America, and that group of people are fellow blacks, my fellow blacks.
Dear Black people, stop blaming white people for racism. Entry number 72 of my book, From Black to Human. If being equal was the truth of our situation, then those who believe that they were less than believe in a lie. But that will also mean that those who believe that they were better than believe in a lie as well. Wouldn't you agree? We all know that there's a system of racism in America, a system that claims that black people are inferior and white people are superior. Because blacks are considered inferior, they automatically assume that they are the victims and whites are to blame. But let's break this down. If a black person grows up in a family that subconsciously believes that they are inferior, we will sympathize with that black person for having a nigga mentality or for thinking that he or she is inferior. But if a white person grows up in a family that subconsciously believes that they are superior, we will condemn that white person for having a racist mentality or for thinking that he or she is superior. Why is this? Since black people understand that the system is unfair, they also expect white people to be aware of the fact that the system is unfair and expect them to denounce it because it claims that they're superior. However, why are black people expecting from white people what they don't even expect from themselves? Yes, white people should denounce the system that claims that they're superior. But why aren't black people denouncing the same system that claims that they're inferior? Any black person who tries to condemn white people for not doing what they don't do for themselves is an ignorant hypocrite and needs to shut up and stop being a hopeless victim. There are way too many examples of black people today who have the nigga mentality, which is caused by the system of racism. But if white people can become conscious to change their racist mentality, why can't black people become conscious to change their nigga mentality? If white people don't have to depend on black people to wake up, then black people don't have to depend on white people to wake up as well. That's why I don't necessarily agree with the Black Lives Matter movement, because it's telling black people that they cannot wake up unless white people wake up first, which is absolute bullshit.
That takes place in Black America can be folded neatly and tucked away and placed at the doorstep of the ongoing legacy of slavery. When you have a conversation with an Afro-American and you ask them, what is it that the white man owes you after everything that he has already given you? What is it that you feel that you are lacking? What stone has the American white man left unturned that you feel needs to be uprooted that will balance the scales from this ongoing demonic legacy of slavery? The Negroes, most of them, have no answer. Because in hindsight, if you review the history and you understand what it is that the American white man gave the Negro, the fact that 80% of black people hold dear to the Bible and Christianity can be placed at the doorstep of slavery. When the African slaves were brought here, they didn't speak English, they couldn't read the Bible, they weren't allowed to be Christians. It was only after the slave master realized that allowing the slaves to embrace Christianity in fact made better slaves of them, that large numbers of Negro slaves embraced this religion.
Black people, please stop blaming white people for all your problems. And the reason why is I'm going to go over some things that black people don't do that creates their own problems. Now, if you hear me lisping, I have an issue with my wisdom tooth, so please bear through it. I said I was going to hop off of the race situations. I don't want to talk about race anymore because I'm getting irritated with hearing some of these racist videos. But I want to talk about some of the things that we do as black people that kind of hinder us. And some of the things I've learned, you know, with some of the knowledge I have. Now, one of the things we do as black people that hinders us is we don't own real estate. We don't have any real estate. And real estate is really the bedrock to any business. Like, if you're going to have real estate, if you're going to own a business, it's always good to invest in real estate because you can sell off assets and put a capital injection back into your company if needed, just in case your company is failing or falling, right? So what happens with a lot of businesses, and with me working in the mortgage industry, I've seen tons of businesses fail. And why they fail is because what happens is once the person creates a business, the business turns profitable, they start buying houses and cars. And once they start buying a house and car, they have no other assets to, place in the business just in case, tough times occur. So because all of their income is now placed to liabilities. So they're losing income. And this is one of the big things in the black community. Instead of blaming white people and saying, oh yeah, they created these laws. Yeah, these laws were in the past. So now we can't focus on that. We have to focus on the now.
This is all a form of self-hate. I talked about this as an example of playing the dozens. You hear it in hip-hop with the beefing that goes on, and when they talk about themselves, it's self-aggrandizement. They want to make themselves a great, I'm this, I'm that, I'm doing this. But then they also talk poorly about other people. You ain't shit and fuck you and all this kind of stuff. Well, that is all an expression of self-hate. And it's a cultural phenomenon, a cultural dynamic that is expressed within the African-American community in general. And no other people, in my opinion, have those levels of self-hate. No other people, not that I've seen. Okay, and I'm almost 40 years old. I have yet to see that level of self-hate being expressed amongst one group of people, and it becomes a socialized norm.
Why you keep saying that all the time? And when you say that, what you're saying is that you don't know how to beat him. He's better than you. Stop saying that. Stop it. White man hold us down. White man hold us down. Then why you act so crazy then? White man made me shoot. White man gave me the gun. That's how come my 17-year-old boy shot his sister's side of the 17-year-old boy. Because white man brought the gun. White man brought the gun in, so my boy didn't have no more sense than shoot. And white man, how come you made that baby and didn't take care? White man made me. White man right there holding the light. Made sure when I made that girl pregnant, he right there. Go ahead, make her pregnant, boy. Black boy. Make her pregnant.
Yes,
Pull your
there are
pants
law
down
enforcement
below.
officers out there that take things too far, abuse their power. They're humans. We're a flawed species. With that being said, today we're going to talk about personal responsibility. Black people, it is 2014. Hate to break this to you. If your life is messed up, it ain't because of slavery. Your ass was never a slave. You probably ain't know nobody that was a slave. You probably don't know nobody that knew nobody that was a slave. Slavery ended a long time ago. Yes, it put us in a big hole in this country, but guess what? Dig your way out of it. Civil rights, about 50 years ago. I don't know if y'all know, we won. We Google it, we won. Yeah, it was a fight. They marched, they sat in, we won. So in 2014, if your life is messed up, look in the mirror, figure out what you're doing, what you're not doing. Take some personal responsibility for yourselves, for your lives. I understand, sometimes you can't help the hand you were dealt. You were born in the ghetto, in the projects, you were born in a bad situation. Nothing you can do about that. But what you can do is do your best to get out of it. If you live in a messed up neighborhood, let me give you a little advice. Stop messing it up. Ain't no rich white men sneaking into the hood in the middle of the night, spray painting graffiti, peeing in hallways. George Bush ain't out in the neighborhoods selling crack on the corner. You know what I'm saying? If your neighborhood is messed up, it's because the people in the neighborhood continually mess it up.
Okay, we've got to stop naming our children with these ghetto names. Lucretia, D. Anthony. And what is that? Ladashiatia? Okay, we don't pronounce dashes in the English language. All you're doing is making your child's life harder when you do that. You're the boss of a company. You get two identical resumes. Do you hire Thomas Smith or do you hire Ladanavian Smith? Stop jeopardizing your child's future with these names. You think Obama would have won if his name was Ladanavian Obama? And same thing goes for nickname. Pookie, Lele, Big Swole. If your name is Shay, why do I have to call you Shay Shay? Why do I have to say it twice? There's no reason for that. Your nickname is Boy Boy. At what time do you become
the
man?
being better than each other. The I can fuck anybody up kind of mentality. I'm the toughest dude, blah, 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 blah. That's what we say about ourselves. But then maybe you say, Phil, it's just the music. It's not really us. It's just the music. It's just entertainment. Fine, let's just say it's entertainment. The problem is, in our households, most of us do not have fathers. Most of us have a fucking fucked up household with half brothers, half sisters, because we can never stay together. You know what I mean? As a family, we can never do it. Got all this fucked up shit. So we start looking other directions for guidance. We start looking other directions for guidance and listening to things. So a lot of these kids listen to the hip-hop music. Now, I'm not blaming the hip-hop music, because in the end, it's the parents' fault. It's not the music's fault. Because the music is becoming more violent, but crime is going down some. So it's not just the music, so I'm blaming the parents, not the music. Don't get it twisted. But what's interesting is, what do we like to watch as a people? What do we watch as a people? What entertains us? What makes us smile as a people? What is the #1 popular black American website? WorldStar. Oh, WorldStar, it's the most popular one? What is WorldStar filled with? The vast majority of WorldStar. Violence. People hurting each other, embarrassing each other, like black people, like black girls having sex on the phone while talking to their boyfriend on the phone, having sex with another guy. These are the kind of things we enjoy watching. People beating up other people for no reason, knockout game, whatever it is. These are the things we enjoy and share and laugh about.
I didn't understand. We guys and gals, men, women, ladies and gentlemen of the black community, we've got to stop blaming white America for our own problems. We got to stop this. There are a ton of issues in the black community, and we keep trying to blame it on white America. This man not having a job, although he's highly educated, may not have anything to do with his race. He needs to learn how to be an entrepreneur and create his own wealth, his own business, and quit relying on somebody else to hire you. Why are you sitting around waiting for these white folks to hire you from the work at their company when they're already too busy hiring their sons, daughters, cousins, uncles, and aunts? They're hiring their own people. I don't blame them. They don't give a damn about your black ass or my black ass. Why should they? We've got to be in control of our own destiny.